Donald Trump has just delayed the tariffs on China again. Why? This is the deal. Look, I like Trump, guys. I voted for him. I support him. But my promise to you on this show is that I have to tell the truth. And so there's going to be some uncomfortable truths in this episode today. Trump delaying the tariffs on China does not make any sense. When it comes to tariffs, there's kind of a few schools of thought. And here I'm open to all of them, or at least I was, until we're seeing the natural results of the tariffs. Here were the schools of thought. Some say that Trump is pursuing tariffs in order to lower all the tariffs, right? He wants to be more free market. We have some unfair tariffs on us, and he wants to reduce them. Okay, fair enough. I think that's a fair philosophy. I think it's a good thing to get over. If that's the case, I'm all for it. The problem with that theory is it obviously is not true because we now have what seems to be long-term tariff policy with our allies that are way higher than they used to be. It was never this high before. The next theory, and that's very clear from the EU to Canada, which we'll get into in a second. The next theory is that people say Trump is pursuing tariffs to box in China. I'm all for that. I think that's a fantastic thing. A lot of people have talked about it. It's great. China steals our intellectual property. They undercut our industries. Overall, they're just our enemy. I have no problem with isolating them. I think that's a fantastic economic strategy. So Trump wants to box them in. I like that plan. The only problem is we now have tariffs on the EU, Canada, and our closest allies that are heavier than what we have on China. I am not joking. Canada has a 35% blanket tariff on almost all their goods, which is very high, by the way, way high, and non-reciprocal. I know we hear about reciprocal tariffs from Canada. They had less than 5% tariff on us before. So true reciprocality would have been 4 or 5%, right? The EU, by the way, has a blanket 15% tariff, which is also way higher than they had on us. It was about 1%, and we had about 1%. So we already actually had reciprocal tariffs on the EU. It was essentially free trade with them. So there was nothing reciprocal about raising that to 15%. And again, I guess I have no problem with that, but that does not make any sense if you are trying to box in China. For China, the rates were going to be 145%, which is fantastic. I mean, it's like insanely fantastic. That's basically a trade embargo. You're just not doing trade with China. I think that's great because China's our enemy. However, if you want to box in China, the way to do it is to leave the 145% on, and now we're delaying that 90 days, and it's down to 30%, which, again, as I just talked about, is less than what we have currently on Canada, which is crazy. And so this theory from people that we want to box in China also cannot be true. Clearly, I mean, why would we? We're boxing in Canada currently more than we're boxing in China. Because, if you wanted to box in China, you'd put the 145% on it. You would not delay anything. And then you'd create free trade agreements on your allies so that you can turn them towards you and buying everything from you, and you even buying some things that you can't make in your country, in their country, and it strengthens your economic ties so they don't go to China. But instead, Trump heavily tariffed Canada and other countries, thus turning them towards China, who may have lower tariff rates on them than we have on them. So that theory doesn't hold up. That can't be it. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that anymore. So the question that we have is, what is the goal of the Trump admin? Like, really, what is it? And you could just say, oh, let's just ask them. But the problem is when you ask them, we get different responses from Scott Bessent to Donald Trump to JD Vance to Peter Navarro. It's, Howard Lutnick. They're all giving me different answers. So I really have no idea. But I do know that the first two things that I just said, those theories can't be true. As far as I can tell, what the goal is, this is just going based on their actions. It's simply to raise tariffs on everyone. This is their new way of taxation. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, look, this is the new way of taxation. We're putting the tariffs on people, but we don't want to do income tax anymore. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Yeah, tariffs can be a way of taxation, but here's the deal. Where are the income tax going? Are the income taxes over? No, they're not over. And they're not going anywhere, by the way. It's not politically going to happen. I would love for it to happen. Trump is not going to get rid of the income tax. There's just no political way for him to do it. I know he might want to do it, but he can't do it. And so what you're getting right now, just understand this, if you want the income tax to go away, is you're going to have the income tax and you're having the tariffs. You're having both. So no, it's not replacing the income tax. So it's a stupid argument. Sorry. The income tax is just not going anywhere. So you're getting two taxes. If it replaced it, fine, but that's not going to happen. As far as I can see, we're raising the tariffs on everyone. It has nothing to do with China. It has nothing to do with our allies. Donald Trump and his administration just wants tariffs high for everyone. And it's not what his administration has been saying, but the actions speak louder than words. And at some point, I just don't care what you say. I care about what you do. And that doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. I have no blind elite. Like, I just don't care. I like Donald Trump because I think he'll do what's best for the country. But when he does something that isn't, I'm not going to lie about it. I know a lot of political commentators out there are. I'm sorry, I'm just not willing to do that because the actual economic success of our lives and our kids depends on it. And so why would I lie about something like that? At some point, again, I don't understand why we're being more lenient with China than Canada. That's just insane. Why are we giving a 90-day delay to China when we never did that for Canada? And by the way, every time tariffs get delayed, the market goes up. You can see it. So you can see how the markets are responding. Markets soared when the announcement was made that tariffs on China were delayed. The markets hate the tariffs. And you could say, oh, well, why do I care about the markets? Well, the markets are your 401k, your IRA, any of your brokerage accounts. So it's your retirement. It also affects housing prices. So if you're in housing and you wanting to retire and actually be able to sell your house for a nice price one day, that's going to affect that. It mostly affects jobs. If the markets aren't going up, then there's no capital for companies to start new jobs. So it actually does matter. And the markets indicating that the tariffs suck is an indication that the tariffs are hurting our economy because tariffs are horrible for businesses, horrible for consumers. So as someone who wants Trump to succeed, this is my plea. If you want to box China in, then stop delaying the tariffs. Treat our allies better than our enemies. That's what's weird to me. We've got allies, we've got enemies. We are treating our enemies better than our allies. So don't turn our allies to our enemies. It makes no sense. If Trump does, then he will easily lose the midterms. If he starts treating our allies better than our enemies, he'll easily win, and the economy will do fantastic. If he doesn't, the data is clear that Americans won't tolerate the tariffs, and Republicans are not going to stand a chance. My favorite part of the show is being able to interact with you guys. I do it in the comments all the time. You can leave a comment on the show today and I'll respond to it. But I also use Substack to interact with you guys. Every single weekend, I send out a weekly newsletter to you. It's completely free. I'm able to bounce ideas off each other, and we can even do live Q&As on Substack. So go check it out right now. It's completely free. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching this episode, everybody. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it. And you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here